into or out of your car and hitting your head on the crossbeam. In fact, last week my son was in PE at Madison Meadows Middle School, and he got hit in the face with a soccer ball. His teachers were concerned enough to take him to the nurse's office, and they did some neurological exams and looked at him and wished him all the best and gave him all the resources he needed to recover. Thankfully, he was doing just fine. Last night, he and I were playing foosball. He got hit in the face with a foosball. I don't know how this happened, but I did it and managed to hit him in the face. So 2 balls hit him in the face in the same moment. As Angus said, I'm Johnny Lifshitz. I'm a professor at the UA College of Medicine in Phoenix. I'm also a research scientist at Phoenix Children's Hospital. I got into doing traumatic brain injury research when I was 19 at UCLA, and I've been involved in it ever since. I've worked from the cellular level, working with mitochondria, as Rich said, up to the behavioral level, working with data of all sorts. The true holy grail of traumatic brain injury research is a blood-based biomarker. What does this mean? It means that the military can draw a drop of blood from your fingertip, run it through the equivalent of a Star Trek tricorder or a medical device, and be able to say you have a head injury. You can check that blood multiple times later and say that there's no more of that molecule, and therefore you've recovered from your head injury. This would be great on the football field. It would have been great for my son at Madison Meadows Middle School. The number of soldiers and athletes that are injured every year, the number of civilians might be about 2 million. This includes the mild head injuries that we don't even take to the hospital. And what I'm here to let you in on a little secret is that that number is an absolute fraction of the real number of head injuries. And the reason is domestic violence. Domestic violence dates back to the dawn of man, so much so that the idea of a rainstorm when it's sunny, when you have a rainbow out, when it's raining, and when you see all 3 of these things, a rainbow, rain, and the sun, is called a sun shower. And colloquially and culturally, this is known as the devil beating his wife. That being said, intimate partner violence and abuse affects 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men. And the worst part about it is that the incidence and the frequency increases during pregnancy. And so now you have a woman who's pregnant being beaten by her partner, and that partner could be a partner of the same sex or the opposite sex. It's neither, it's not a cultural consistency in that regard. And the problem is that these same biomarkers that we want to identify in the blood of our soldiers and our athletes are now circulating in mom. Those blood molecules could cross into the placenta, into the baby, and affect neurodevelopment just the way that Brandon said, that the way that the Kruger lab is doing, the way that it affects autism. If it affects the fetus during neurulation, when the neurons are separating from all the other cells, if it affects the fetus during the time in which those neurons are forming new circuits, during the time in which those circuits are being pruned to be the best individual possible, that baby will be born with additional challenges that we have no idea about. That being said, what we want to do, and with great humility I can say that we're the only lab in the world that has ever induced a brain injury in a pregnant mouse. Why do we use mice? Because we have the ability to run these studies. In the real world, you can't go capture those individuals who are pregnant and have a head injury. It's just too far, too culturally challenging. So in the mouse, we're able to time the time at which brain injuries can be induced. Those fetuses are born, and we can evaluate the extent to which those fetuses have challenges, or those offspring have challenges compared to those mice that are born to moms that didn't have a head injury. What's our outcome? I have no idea. What I can tell you is that the incidence is huge. We need some seed funding in order to be able to generate data, so we can first go to March of Dimes, which is really on the forefront of funding new studies, and then we can go for larger grants. This would be all well and good in mice, but in addition, we are going to extract data from the Arizona healthcare system and be able to identify moms who are pregnant and have a head injury to be able to track what the healthcare costs of that particular individual look like, what the nature of the birth was when that mom gave birth, and hopefully be able to track those children once they're born to look at their healthcare costs over the first 2 or 3 years of life, to see if in fact there is an additional burden when head injury occurs in pregnant moms. So we're working closely with our research team as well as our our medical students at the college, as well as our clinical colleagues, to be able to try to tackle this problem. And so I'm honored to be here amongst all these